The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV. Hot topics, food, fun, entertainment, and serious business. Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
Okay, if you're on Facebook, there's a chance you've been hacked and your information is out there. We're going to talk with cybersecurity expert Matt Jackson Jr. about what's going on, what you can do, what you can expect, and some really crazy things that are happening when it comes to your information out there in public. And then we're going to talk to Jim Gemma, knower of all things when it comes to baseball here in Las Vegas. He does all of the social media, all of the media in general for the Las Vegas 51s. He's going to talk about the new Las Vegas ballpark and what I find as the most intriguing aspect of this, which is the breathable seats. We were talking before the show, Mac and Jim and I, about maybe we don't want the guy next to us to be breathing through his seat. But I mean, what does that really mean? It's just one of the many amenities that are being put into this new ballpark in downtown Summerlin. Just a really cool thing right next to the Vegas Golden Knights facility. So we're going to be talking about that. But first, let's get to Facebook. Let's face it. I think that this big, huge hack, it was so ironic that it came just after Mark Zuckerberg went before Congress and said, we're just really getting down on privacy and we're really trying to protect our people. And it's like, oopsie, maybe 50 million. Okay, not 50 million. Maybe 30 million, but not that bad. Okay, but of that 30 million, it could be really, really bad. This hack of all of these users' data is actually pretty far-reaching, even if we're only talking about only 30 million. Right. Of those 30 million, some people, their stuff is out there, and it's pretty intense.
It is very intense. You're right, Rikki. There is now a downgrading of what they originally stated, 50 million people. Right. They downgrade to 30 million. Of those 30 million, there's millions that have their personal identifiable information taken from Facebook. Things like their credit card information. If they were to have bought information using a credit card on Facebook, that information is taken away. Their location, where they live at, their home, their account numbers and stuff. That stuff is very can be very detrimental to companies, taking that data. So they need to do what people need to do is to make sure that you disconnect from third-party apps.
Now, I was trying to really get my head around, what is a third-party app?
Sure. So let's say that you are signing up for a dating website, let's say, right? And that dating website says, can we use your Facebook account? Right. And you say yes, so now when you log in your Facebook account, the same user ID and password, that third-party app's using that same user ID and password to log into their application. So now you don't have to worry about creating a new user ID and a password. Right. It supposedly saves you time.
Right. It's easy for you, allegedly.
Yeah, it's like a single sign-on that we have in IT, where you sign on once and you have access to the entire system. Right. Having this type of Facebook sign-on that allows you to go through third-party applications without creating a new user ID and password. Right. But the problem with that is that third-party company, if they're hacked, now they have your access to your Facebook information.
Well, and see, the thing about it is, too, okay, so Facebook had to come clean. They had to. But that third-party app may not come clean. So you might not even be aware that what you signed up for. And the thing that you were, kind of poking fun at me about, I think I'm really, really careful about these types of things.
Yes.
But out of sheer greed, I went to 7-Eleven, and they were giving away the $3 drumsticks if you signed up.
Ice cream.
Yes. Drumstick ice creams. And so I thought, $3, all right, I'll sign up. Not thinking this is the third-party app. I think all I'm going to do is get my free ice cream drumstick that day. But for $3, I sold my soul to the devil, because what are the chances that 7-Eleven is going to feel like they have to come clean if we're hacked? Right. Whereas Facebook would. A bigger company has to. True. Like Google or Amazon, those folks, or like you Target, these big retailers. But the smaller ones don't have to necessarily, and probably don't want to. So inadvertently, for a $3 ice cream cone, I put my information out there on the internet.
Information is new currency.
Right. Yeah.
It's new
Yeah.
currency.
I
Absolutely.
think that's something I know. I didn't think about this until I talked to you about it. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You know.
currency,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's third-party companies. You know, if, like you said, if they get hacked, that information, they also have a due diligence to make sure that they protect data as well.
Right.
But finding out which third-party company you're connected to your Facebook account, that could be very daunting. So what users should do is go into Facebook, and under settings, you can disconnect your connections to third-party apps.
Okay.
Facebook has turned that part of it on. So, and there's two parts of the story too. There's a hacking part, but there's
Right.
also the hackers that are using propaganda
Now, what is that?
as well.
What do you mean?
Like you mentioned earlier, you're getting posts.
Right.
Could be political posts. It could be
Yes.
any different type of posts. But those posts, companies, nation states, other hackers around the world pay for ads. They pay Facebook. They give them money to post certain ads.
Right.
But no one checks out these ads and makes sure they're legitimate. These ads can be totally fake, but they're looking like they're real.
Right.
So an individual looks at an ad, he'll see something, and they'll think, wow, I'm going to share it with my friends. So they'll use the propaganda technique of sharing it with their friends, stories that are not true. Not true at all, but they're spreading it throughout Facebook. I heard one today about
Wow.
Sylvester Stallone, that Sylvester Stallone passed away, and I looked at it and it was like 3,000 people shared this. And it's like, that's not a true story.
Right.
They don't fact check. They don't
Right.
fact check, and they just send it out to everybody. So if you think about it, if you use stories like that, you can do political, you can do all kinds of different stories. But what it does is it poisons our information pool, right? Because now you're not sure what is real
Right.
and what is true out there. So that's the opposite side, or the other side of hacking that happens in our society.
And then how do we, as just ordinary citizens, how do we do that fact checking? How do we track whether this is real or not? Especially if I've already gotten it, like my girlfriend shared it with me. So I trust her. So I think that maybe she vetted it, but most people don't. How do I then do my homework to find out where did this ad originate?
Multiple sources of citations. You know, I teach over at DeVry University,
Right.
right? And I tell my students, when they turn in their essays, their papers, they're required to turn in 3 citations. Well, now, because of information today, I'm requiring them to do 4 to 5 citations, right? They can't just cite, oh, my uncle said this.
Right.
They have to do their research. It has to be from credible sources. And then even with that, you have to find out where they got their information from. Because, again, information, new currency, it's worth money. It's very, very valuable. You can change public opinion on anything now with wrong information.
One of the things that I've seen happening, I think mostly in the last 10 years, but it's been accelerating in the last 5, even in the news media business. I'll talk to a reporter or another producer, and I'll say, well, where did you get this? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I saw it on this other news outlet. All right. Where did they get it? Because we're assuming that because it's a colleague or someone in the business that they
Yes.
got there. But it might be somebody who just got out of school and they don't know how to fact check.
Right.
And then the other thing that alarmed me was the lack of, we got away from attribution. Like source, now we've got sources say. Well,
Right.
nobody's ever required to say who the source was.
That's right.
The source could be your Auntie May.
Yes,
You know, it's like,
could be
well, who
anybody.
was the source? And so a lot of stories get posted. Then we find out later on there was no source, that the reporter or whoever it was just kind of decided based on what they saw on the internet.
Yes.
And I'm still stunned every single day when I'll ask somebody something and they'll say, well, I saw it on the internet.
Yes. What does
Baby, that
mean?
doesn't make it true.
Right.
Right.
And then we're really quick we find information, we want to quickly tell it to people.
Yes.
And
I
that's
saw
how,
that.
Yeah, and that's how the bad guys or the disinformation gets us, right? Because we get the information, we want to immediately tell a lot of people.
Right.
So you rush to put it out there, but we don't check it, and it's wrong.
Well, at the political level, too, the recent interview that President Trump did with CBS, with Leslie Stahl,
Yes.
and at one point he just said, well, you know what, talking about the Russia meddling, everybody's meddling. China's meddling, this
Right.
person's meddling,
Right.
and what he didn't say, but was like, I felt like it was the elephant in the room. We meddle, too. It's
Right.
not like anyone's hands are clean when it comes to trying to influence, and the beauty of the internet is the way it's made us able to talk to anybody around the world at any time.
That's right.
The downside of the internet is people from everywhere were able to talk to each other and influence each other at any time. So it gets
right.
back to what Trump was saying about fake news. Now people are like, oh, you know, because he targets certain outlets. But the truth of the matter is a lot of the stuff that you see on the internet, whatever the social media platform is, somebody made it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're made it up. It's not necessarily true, and it has to be vetted. But you're right. Finding out the right places to vet it makes it hard, too.
Yes.
Because now these hackers or people using to change information have fake vetting sites, too.
Yeah.
That trying to say they'll change something. It's like trying to define what the word is, right?
Right.
There are sites that will do that. So it's hard to find out what's really true unless you really, really, really do your background.
And I always encourage people, and I'm just anal about this, you have to go past those first searches that you do, because those are paid for searches. These people position those placements.
And those could be the bad guys.
And those
right?
could be the bad guys.
Yeah.
So you have to go I try to go like 20, 30 searches back to try to compare that information to what I'm seeing on the primary sites, because that's where the people are hiding, because they're not paying for it. So they put them in, sort of in the back room.
Absolutely.
But then also they don't have as much to gain, because they're really, it's just and I might be wrong, they really just want to put information out, and even they might not be accurate. That's where the folks go, they're like maybe self-publishing, they've done their own research. That doesn't even make their stuff true either.
Right.
It's just that's as far back, but at least I feel like I've got something to compare it to.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. When I talked to you last time, there was a website called I've Been PWNED, and I've gotten a lot of requests about that. People are asking, what does that mean, and what can you find on this website? It's a very good website. If you haven't checked out your email address, your email, I would definitely suggest you go to this website called I've Been PWNED.
PWNED.
And what that website does, it will tell you if your email address and your password was involved in several different targeted databases around the world.
Wow, I'm going to write this down right now so I don't forget.
Yeah, including Target, Neiman Marcus, all the major hacks that have been happening over the last 5 or 6 years.
PWNED. So you can find out. You may not. You might have thought. In fact, I might have thought that I was fine because I don't shop at those places.
Correct.
Third-party apps. Just because I didn't shop at the place that was actually acknowledging that they've been hacked.
Yes.
My information might still have been affected.
Yes, and it gets even more intense. It gets scarier. There's a big extortion going on now. They're calling it, the FBI and law enforcement is calling it sextortion. And what that means is emails have been sent to users stating that they have their password, and they send them. In other words, a user will get an email from the hacker or from the extortioner that states that this is your user ID and this is your password. We know that you like to look at porn. We're going to tell all your friends on Facebook if you don't send us $7,000 in Bitcoin. And you'll see your password in this email and your username. You're thinking, wow, this person is snowing.
They must be legitimate because they got this information.
And they have a link for you to click on, and you click on the link, and you pay $7,000 of Bitcoin. Of course, like any extortion, they come back later on wanting more money.
Right.
But it turns out what they do is they're using the passwords that you used from previous sites that have been hacked, previous databases.
Right.
So the moral of the story is always change your password.
Yeah.
Change your password repeatedly, like every 90 days is a good standard. Change your password to all the websites that you visit, because if they are hacked, then the hackers can't go back and get into you. So what they did is they were able to get websites, user IDs and passwords from years ago.
Right.
That people have been affected.
And one of the things you brought up the last time you were on, and it was brilliant, and I went through and I did it on all of my accounts, you said passphrase instead of password.
Yes.
Because I've been using the same password, and I would just add another number to it in the back or the front, whatever, and wasn't even thinking about it until I started seeing the autofill. And all of a sudden, companies I'd never gone on to, for the first time, you start to type it in, and all of that stuff is out there. I'm thinking, how do you have that? And how do you have my password?
Right.
Well, yes, because I put it in somewhere else, never dreaming that it would be shared with other people.
True, and it's part of that's in your browser as well. If you're using Google browser or one of the other browsers that are out there, it has an autofill in it. So you may want to go into settings in your browser and deactivate or disable the autofill feature, just in case someone else uses your computer, or if you ever get hacked into it, and hackers can have access to your browser. But the other thing we can do is to use two-tier authentication.
Now, when I was reading about that yesterday in preparation for this interview, I was kind of confused, because on one hand, it seemed like some of the articles were saying that the two-tier authentication actually left you more vulnerable to your stuff being exposed. How is that?
Nothing's 100%.
Right. Okay.
Nothing's 100%. But what two-factor authentication gives you is to use another device, like your cell phone or another device to where you have a code. So in other words, you go to a website and you log into it, and if that website doesn't authenticate your laptop or desktop or your phone, it will then send you a code to another device, such as your phone. Then you enter that code into your browser, and then it knows, okay, you're a legitimate person using it.
Right.
So that's the error protection. But what they were in the other articles, what they were talking about, problems that could happen is, what if the hacker hacks into your phone?
Right.
So now they have access and control your phone, so
Right.
they can actually ask for the code and then actually see it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So really, you're either way. I think the bottom line, though, from what you're saying is, you're not like you said, nothing is 100%.
Right.
But to take these steps, as labor intensive as they seem,
Sure.
It's sort of like a pay me now or pay me later.
Security system in your home.
Sure.
It's the same thing. Having a security system in your home, isn't 100%, but it's better than not having a security system in your home, right?
And you were telling me right before the show, let's talk about the security systems in your home, because a lot of my friends have them, and they think because they've got that camera on, they're all good.
Right.
Not necessarily, and especially if you're in a network, that could be a problem as well. Let's talk about some of the hidden dangers in having what you think is your own home security system and your own camera system.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's definitely something you should have, especially if you have packages delivered to your house. Right. That's huge right now, where UPS and the different delivery services will deliver packets to your home,
Sure.
and then thieves would drive by, they'll see a package on your porch, they'll come and take your package away, right? Having a security system there definitely gives you actually a protection. However, law enforcement has been asking about having access to security cameras in a neighborhood, wanting individuals to sign up to giving law enforcement access to their security cameras. That's going to open up an interesting observation of privacy issues here.
Sure.
Should we allow law enforcement, a government, to have access to our security cameras without a subpoena or warrant and stuff? So it's interesting to see as time goes on, will that be tested being constitutional or not?
Yeah. Well, and because I am so I'm paranoid, I'll admit it. I think that the government's out to get us, and every little incursion upon our freedoms is to be highly suspect. But I can see that slippery slope. People, I think we have a human tendency. I want to make sure I'm safe. I'm going to do whatever it is possible to be safe. Not seeing, just as I did with my ice cream cone, the price that I was going to pay for that safety. It never would have occurred to me that getting an ice cream cone at 7-Eleven would make my personal information available outside of. So I'm thinking 7-Eleven, what are they going to do? They're going to sell me to like the Coca-Cola people or whatever. Maybe they wouldn't sell my information at all, but because it's on there, in their system now, if somebody hacks their system, I'm vulnerable for an ice cream cone.
True, and that's why there are efforts to change our regulations to, well, you heard of GDPR,
Yes.
right? GDPR, that's over in Europe, that affects U.S. businesses as well. That means if you have a European customer in your database, you have to have the rights procedures in place to protect their data. And if they say, remove me from your list, you have to remove them from the list.
Right.
So that's going to happen here as well. California is already doing their version of GDPR as well. So it's going to spread across the country. So that means that in the future, when you go to 7-Eleven and you get your ice cream cone, right, and they have your personal information, and you say, I don't really want someone to have my data, they have to be able to remove it.
Wow.
And
Perfect.
protect it that way. So privacy still isn't lost yet.
Yeah.
It's just awareness, letting people know that if you know about your privacy, where it's being used at, then you control it versus having businesses or some other entity controlling your privacy.
And I can see where people would think on the front end, especially since we're seeing such a, just an explosion of thieves. And when you see that video, it always amazes me how many of these thefts happen in broad daylight. And the thieves will actually look up at the camera as they're, that's the one that gets me, as they're taking the package away, because they're figuring, who's going to track me? So then if you've got a network of cameras and your neighbors all have that, I can see where you would think, well, this is great. This will increase our chances of catching that person. Yes, but if you let law enforcement have it, they're not going to just have that information for that one series of thefts. They're going to have it forever. They're going to be locked into your system forever until you opt out. Now, let's talk about opting out and how important that is. A lot of people don't realize you can change your mind and say, I don't really want to be part of your system anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the GDPR. It should be that way as well. You can be able to opt out and not allow it. However, if you opt in, there are certain companies that have security systems that will allow you to be a part of their community. So if there's an incident happen at your property, they'll be able to send that video clip to all other users that have opted into the system.
Right. Opted in.
Opted in the area to look out for a certain vehicle, a certain person that's going around the neighborhood and doing illegal acts.
Right. But here again, you have to exercise. You've got to make some effort to do this. You've got to make some effort to now police, because I don't really think until this really started happening and started having you on the show, I really didn't really take into account how much time and effort I needed to put in to protect myself. The same way I would put a camera in, well, then you've got to take those next steps, because the camera just doesn't appear by itself. There's some effort.
That's right.
If you want to protect your information, you've got to put forth the effort.
That's right.
Yeah, to go back in. How can people find this information? Now, you teach classes, and you're available for private consultations as well, but some of the information that you are able to share, how can people find this out and find out how vulnerable they may be?
Very good. You go to my website at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com. And I have training programs that are available in cybersecurity awareness, workshops, seminars, speaking engagements that I do as well, and be able to talk to what's going on regarding cyber. What I try to do in my resources, I try to put together efforts of finding out what's going on, how to get it out to the public. And forums like this is very, very good to help get the information out.
One of my favorites, my all-time favorite so far, because every show he brings up something I'm like, what? Was when you asked me about my Social Security number.
Absolutely.
Now, the Social Security number is seen as the holy grail, but for those of us who grew up in Las Vegas, remember it wasn't that long ago that the DMV had our Social Security numbers on our driver's licenses.
That's right.
So, that information is out there too, so don't act like just because they've exited out now, for a long time that was the norm. But I thought, okay, now, Social Security numbers, that's got to be really hard to find out. And you asked me a couple of simple questions, and you nailed it. I know what year you were born. I know that just based on my Social Security number. So really, I'm scary. Don't tell anybody when I got my Social. Shoot. But when I hear things like when they're talking about now, giving babies Social Security numbers, and I just want to go running down the street screaming, no, don't go down that slippery slope. But it's being presented as this will ensure your safety of your child, and this is going to be a really good thing. And all I hear is, now my child is going to be tracked from childhood. Maybe my baby doesn't want to be on the grid when they get to be an adult, and it's going to be too late.
It's true.
They're already in the system.
And I always tell everyone to always check your children's Social Security number, credit report. Run a credit report of your kid's ID.
And why would even a parent even think, why would I check my child's Social Security number?
Because the most vulnerable victims are the young and the elderly.
Wow.
Because parents would never think the child's Social Security number or birth certificate would ever be taken, right? But fraudulent documents can be created based upon birth certificate and Social Security number.
And how would you even find out? Because you wouldn't think, like your 9, 10-year-old's going to have credit cards, and it's not coming to your house. So somebody could be out there just buying all kinds of stuff.
Going to a different address.
Yes.
But then the debt collectors will try to search for the individual, and they come to find out it's a child. They'll start sending letters. Of course, what does the parents do? Just ignore them. Come on, it's 10 years old. It's no big deal.
Right.
They're ignoring it, not realizing that the personal information of that child is in a database somewhere, and a crime has been committed with this child, right? And he will be affected when he gets to the age of where he can consent to purchase information, purchase goods and services, right?
I think that's the bottom line too. Is and I'm not really popular among some of the teenagers in my family, because what I started doing was, when I started seeing pictures of colleagues surfacing that their kids or the kids' friends took, right? And so everybody has to put their phones in a basket because Auntie Ritty and your mom and dad and all the adults, we have mortgages and we have jobs and everything, and the picture when we're all out there doing whatever on in the backyard might not be something that we want our bosses to see. Now kids don't get that, because they're just Snapchatting and they're having a good time. They don't see still the long term, and we wouldn't have either when we were kids. You're a kid, you're not thinking about that, but it's incumbent upon the adults to say, now we're living in a different world. Once that's posted, it's there forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Information, a new currency. There were people that would pay for that information, especially if you're applying for a job at a corporation 10 years later and they find information on you that you posted 10 years ago that decided they're going to hire
You're
you.
thinking, well, why does that matter? You do a search and you can find out now just about anything.
Yes, that's
and
right.
especially for little kids, they just don't realize. One of my sisters-in-law, I didn't realize that there's a like this video program for little kids. It's sort of like an Instagram, like Instagram, or more like Snapchat,
Sure.
where the little kids have their own little sites and they're encouraged to make their own little videos.
Right.
And so I saw that, and on the surface, the first time I saw it, well, that looks really innocent. I said, but are you with them all the time when they're posting these? She's like, well,
Right.
no. So you're not going to know if they do something questionable and post it up there unless you go back and look on the site. So you're going to have to police that site as long as they have
And then, of course,
access
there
to
are
it.
warriors and hackers that would hack into those sites. And
I'm another
have
little
access
8-year-old
to that.
girl, and it's a 48-year-old guy
Right,
sitting
and she
somewhere
doesn't
in
know.
Wisconsin. She doesn't know.
Right. They're
Right.
just talking to another 8-year-old person. Exactly.
I have so much respect now for my late sister. When she only had one computer in the house, and I thought she was being so mean to my niece and nephew. She had one computer in the family room, and she would walk behind them, and she made it very clear, I check your history, I'm going to stand behind you. They didn't get to do anything, and they didn't have cell phones. And
Yes.
I think it's interesting when you put this out there, Bill and Melinda Gates did not get cell phones for their kids until their kids became older teenagers.
Right.
So I am thinking, now they're in the business. They wouldn't let their kids have cell phones. I'm sure all their kids' friends had cell phones.
Yes.
But now I sit with a lot of folks, and I'll see these 2-year-olds, and they've got their own phones, and the parents are shopping or doing, and the phones have become what TV was for our generation, the babysitters.
Yes,
as long
the
as the baby's
babysitters.
on the phone
That's right.
or on their tablet, they're being really quiet. Do you know what they're doing?
That's right.
Do you know who they're talking to?
And fortunately, there are apps that are available that parents
Sure.
can utilize on their teens' smart devices that they can monitor and watch different websites that they visit. And that's a good thing as well,
Right.
to make sure they're not talking to someone they shouldn't be talking to.
Right.
It's all about communication. You need to talk to their kids, find out what they're doing, and be involved in what their surfing is online.
Well, let's round it out with Facebook.
Sure.
When Facebook came out not that long ago and said they were going to start their own dating website through Facebook, I thought that was hysterical, because now by this point, for those of
Yes.
us who've been on Facebook for a while,
Yes.
you can't even lie on your profile,
Right.
because they'll have every picture you've ever taken, all your
Right.
information. So at least
Absolutely.
before, you could go on a dating website and say you were 15 and skinny, whatever, 2 tons of fun and you're African American, whatever. But now, if they go through with this, and I
Right.
wonder if they're going to still do it, because all that information is there. So when you talk about this hack, and on one hand we're kind of getting away from it because I think it's so big, people
It is.
just can't get their head around. It's like
It is.
it's so scary. But you were talking about very detailed information. Your hometown, what your dog, like for me, it's like
Sure.
what my dogs look like, what
Yeah,
their
that's
names are,
right.
who I hang out with, my whole social set, their
Right.
pictures, their information that
Right.
they're putting on as well. So it's not just me.
Correct.
It's everybody who's on my Facebook page.
That's right, and they'll use that for social engineering, meaning that they could call you and pretend to be a relative, a
Yes.
friend, and now they know all this information about you, your dog's name, all the stuff about you.
Right.
They can have a conversation with you,
Yes.
and you're thinking that's a person on the other end of the phone is someone that you know, and it's not. It could be part of the hacker. That could be bad too. But I also want to add, that Facebook also has cameras now and televisions. It's like Alexa.
Okay, yes.
So Facebook has a product that's very similar to that with a camera and video. So now
we
Alexa,
talked about Alexa. If Alexa's rolling in your house, do you know you could be hauled into court for something that Alexa recorded? So all these people who have Alexa, just know, be careful, because Alexa is talking to you, but she could be talking to Metro too. I mean, I just like, really?
Yeah.
This is crazy. So Facebook has the cameras as well.
Yeah, Facebook has a new product they are launching that allows you to have video conferencing with other Facebook people. So that's interesting to see too, that they're launching this product even though this major hack has happened. Right?
Well, the one I saw just recently too is I think it's Amazon through Google. They've launched this thing, and on the surface it sounds really cool, but the more I looked at it, and it's only in a couple of cities, where you now can walk into a store and you have the barcode, and the barcode reads that it's you.
Yes.
You can take everything, you can fill your card up, every single thing that you touch
right.
is now read on this barcode, and you can walk out, no money.
No
right?
money,
No
yep.
money. then they just bill a new way of shopping. So they bill your account. You know, so I read that on one hand, I thought, well, you know, sometimes, you know, you haven't hit the ATM, and you don't want to put it on your credit card right there. So it would be kind of cool, you go in and go out. But then I thought, I've lost 2 phones. So if the barcode is connected to my phone account, that means anyone who picks up my phone can now go shopping and have a field day, and I'm going to be charged for this. But not just that. Now, it's another way of my information. You have to put all your information in to be able to shop cash free.
True. Make sure you have passwords on your phone. Using thumbprints or codes, or now Retina. The phone looks at you and says, hey, okay, that's you.
Am I the only person who's crazy? I always feel like if Hollywood's done a movie about it, that means somebody in the government's already done it. And I remember seeing a movie just years and years ago where they were taking people's eyeballs out so they could just put them up there.
Yes, Minority Report.
Oh, yes. Thank you. And then the one that was one of my favorites is the Nicolas Cage movie, National Treasure, where he gets a thumbprint off the girl's glass, and that's how he's able to get down to the Declaration of Independence. I look at all of this stuff and think, well, you know, it's really easy. It doesn't take a lot of effort to all these things that we think are protecting us to get around that. You know, the fingerprint, maybe somebody cut your finger off and do that. I'm not being paranoid, I'm just saying. I saw a movie about it, and it's possible. Or my other favorite is it the one with Will Smith and Gene Hackman, where they were able to, from space...
State of the Nation.
State of the State, Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State, yes.
Where they were able to, like, look at the man's pant seams and stuff like wow, you know, if somebody wants to get you, they're going to get you. So there's part of me that says there's nothing I can do, but then there's a part of me, and what you say is actually at just the basic consumer level, we're not talking about influencing national elections, but there are these steps that you teach, the simple things that you shared here, like this PWNED, find out if you've been affected, to actually be more proactive in doing what you can do to protect yourself.
And next time maybe we talk about, before the election, we can talk again about how hackers are, it's come out this morning that they have affected our elections.
Yes.
And there's a possibility that it could be affected even more next month. So that's something very, very important too. Hackers are trying to influence our way of life.
Well, just really quickly before we let you go, how many of you guys have experienced lately the folks coming up to you in parking lots saying, I'm making sure I'm protecting against voter fraud?
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, I don't know you. And who do you work for? And then they get really shady, and then they start backing away. So, well, let me take my phone out and shoot this thing that I'm supposed to sign to protect, because it looks all very official. As soon as I whip the phone out, they're like, well, and then they, you know, it's like they start, you know, double talking. It's like, who are you? I don't remember seeing anything from the election department that you guys are going to be canvassing the neighborhood. So, you know, a lot of common sense too. Somebody's approaching you, you don't know them. If you haven't heard from the election department, and say, you know what, I'll be shopping here tomorrow. Let me call the county election department and find out if there's somebody supposed to be out there canvassing me. You know, or before you sign a petition and put all your information.
Absolutely.
My first alarm goes off. Can I have your email?
Why?
Why do you need my email? If you're supposed to be protecting me, then why do you need my email? And shouldn't you already have my email?
That's right.
Mac, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much. Really quickly, how can they contact you once again?
Again, from my website, macjacksonjr.com, macjacksonjr.com, or call me at 702-868-0808.
Protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. And he's a big fan of the breathable seats, soon to come at the Las Vegas Baseball Park. We've got more on that coming up here on this edition of Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Today's tip's about tire maintenance, how to check a tire, how to fill it properly. Okay, so as we can see, we've got a low tire. We probably saw that a month ago and said we'll fill it, but like everything, we let a day go by. Next thing you know, we got a problem. Properly check a tire, remove the valve cover, got a tire gauge, simply put it on there, and it'll read the pressure down at the bottom in PSI, pounds per square inch. We can see here that this is so low, it's barely reading. There's probably 10 pounds in it at best. So how do we properly inflate it? Well, we're going to need an air chuck. Go down to the local store or come by the shop. We'll use this tool to inflate it. And that sounds like that's all we need to do. But we need to know how much to inflate it to, because overinflated is just as bad as underinflated. We can look at the tire, and on here we're going to find a cold pressure rating rated in PSI. and it's going to say anywhere from 32 to 80 pounds depending on the vehicle. We'll want to find that so we know the maximum inflation cold. We're going to look until we find the load rating, and here we find the maximum PSI is 44 PSI, pounds per square inch cold. We don't want to fill it any more than that, but we don't want to underfill it either. We want to fill it to 44. So it seems like checking the air pressure is no big deal. It's not. It's really simple to do, but we want to make sure we got the correct pressure. How do we find that? Let me show you. We open the door and we locate the sticker. It's usually right here. It could be down on the lower rocker, but it's on the driver's side. And after we look around, we'll see right here it says 35 PSI. That's the pressure that the tire requires that was sold with the vehicle. But if you change the tires later to a high-performance tire, mud and snow, or anything else, look at the cold pressure on the side of the tire to make sure you're properly inflated. This could be 35 today, but we get a performance tire, it's 44, 45, or even higher. We'll want to make sure we're inflating the tire properly. A couple of things you're going to need if you're checking your own tires: tire gauge and a rag, because you are going to get a little dirty. If you don't want to do that, I don't blame you. Bring it to the shop, we'll check it for you. We'll do a whole inspection on the vehicle if you like. We'll check the tires, make sure you're safe. This can save you a lot of time and keep you safe. Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Thanks a lot.
It seems like we're always making history here in Southern Nevada. Let's take a look at the newest little sort of like saga in our ongoing chapters in the book that is Las Vegas, and that is the topping off at the Las Vegas ballpark at Summerlin. We got some video to show you. This is just amazing. When they first started talking about moving the 51s from Cashman Field out to Summerlin, downtown Summerlin, and this was many, many years ago, I was one of the locals who said, nah, that's probably not going to happen. And because it was taking some time in a city where we think everything happens overnight, but man, this roller coaster has never stopped. So joining us today, Jim Gemma, who does all of media relations for the Las Vegas 51s. He's been watching this evolution of the team from day one. New parent company, new digs. It's just an exciting time for minor league baseball here in Southern Nevada.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
You know, our ownership is Howard Hughes, and obviously they're great owners of ours, and that whole downtown Summerlin area is theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just when the Golden Knights practice facility going in there, and there's a lot of undeveloped land that goes all the way to town center, so obviously the ballpark is going to go there right next to the Golden Knights practice facility. So it's really a great sports mecca with already something you have there at downtown Summerlin. And oh yeah, you got Red Rock Casino right there. So
and then you got Red Rock Canyon, the recreational area past that.
Well, what a great backdrop that
Yeah.
is. It's just beautiful up there. It's just a great setup, and we're looking forward to the 2019 season.
And for those of us who lived through the economic downturn, I remember driving past the steel girders exposed for years when we thought that mall, that whole area was never going, it was just so sad. And once the downturn started, it's just been like pow, 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 pow. And it's easy to forget that it was kind of a rough go for a while. A lot of people were very skeptical that that area of town was ever going to bounce back. And now when you've got, like, you know, the Golden Knights and the 51s, and as you said, all of that land, what's still to come. And then the cool thing is, it's so located off the 215, and then you can take Summerlin Parkway or 95 and come off. And there's so many ways to get to that area of town where traffic flow and parking and those types of things aren't as much of a problem as they might have been in the early incarnations of what people thought were going to be usable venues for these sports.
Yeah, and again, I go back to the Howard Hughes Corp. They're also looking to put a couple road accesses in the back way at Town Center. It is ironic, I think 07, 08, when that thing was just steel. If that thing would have been built in, it would have just been a regular indoor mall. Nothing against the Galleria Mall, because I live down there. I like the Galleria Mall a lot. But that, unfortunately, we had the the recession. But the way it's weird how things happen out for a reason.
Exactly.
Now it's like an outdoor entertainment district with shops and you got Dillard's and Macy's and stuff. But that whole mixed use area, it's turned in. It's going to be the nicest setup in minor league baseball. Yeah, it's ironic how things work out. Yeah, it works out for the best in the end. So let's talk about the actual stadium itself, state of the art. We're going to get to the breathable seats because I just love that. But the thing about it is, and looking at just the ballpark, you have to go on the 51s. You've got to go on the website and you've got to look at
all of the amenities that are there. Not to knock Cashman Field, because it was what it was at that time. But, you know, you're talking state of the art now. Those luxury seats, but even the so-called cheap seats are just gorgeous. Let's talk about what people can expect when this thing is finally done.
Well, I've always said, you know, we've been here 36 years.
Right.
You know, the AAA affiliate of the Padres, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Mets, and now the Oakland A's, which we announced on September 27th officially, which is a great setup for the A's. Why wouldn't the A's not want to come here? It's going to be a great setup for them and us, too, because they got a great minor league system. But it's just the fans deserve a new state-of-the-art park. Because I've watched El Paso's get built and Nashville's get built. On our website, we have a construction cam that's real time.
It's really cool. You got to see it.
It really fascinates me to watch them build stuff like that. But it's great for the fans. It's also going to be great for the players. They're finally going to have an indoor hitting cage, which that may not sound like a lot, but when it's 110 degrees, and then an indoor mound and you know, the training facilities and the workout facilities are going to be really great.
I was reading one of the articles that said, one of the guys said, well, you know, basically the weight room at Cashman Field was just a room. Now they're going to have an actual real weight room, place to really work out. And it's so important when you talk about the quality of the play that people are coming. You know, the athletes, their bodies are their tools. They need to be able to perform at the maximum levels too, on one facility, not having to go to a private gym or go somewhere else. It's all there for them.
Yeah, you can't explain that any better.
No.
We also have, you know, hydrotherapy and just stuff that all the other AAA teams have. It's called minor leagues, but it's far from it. As far as you said, they're first-class athletes. They've either been up in the major leagues or they're unfortunately working their back from the major leagues to the minor leagues, trying to get back up. But these are pitchers that throw 95, 100 miles an hour. It's they're just great athletes. It says minor leagues, but that's not what it is. It's professional baseball. And
right down the street, even though they're not part of the Howard Hughes property, but you've got the UFC, that huge facility that the Fertittas and the Station Casinos has built out there.
Beautiful,
so that whole part of town now has become sports mecca. And as you know, as a Las Vegas kid, if someone had told me we would have this when I was a child, even when I was going to Rancho, I would have laughed at them. I actually couldn't have even conceived of that back then. It's just like, no way.
I know we talked before.
Because you're local, too. You're native, right.
When we were kids, we used to go out to Red Rock Canyon, and it was like a road trip. It was like it was an all-day thing. Because everything stopped at Rainbow.
Right.
I mean, that just didn't exist up there. You were way out of town.
Right.
Whenever you got to Mount Charleston or Red Rock Canyon, even Lake Mead, you're way out of town. Which that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. So it's
fascinating.
Really neat.
It really is.
It really is. And to see all of these different venues, it's really pulled the city together in a way. I'd gone to a couple of Wrangler games, and you know, it's like, I'm a Vegas kid, so the hockey thing, I'm thinking, yeah. So when the Knights, they were a lot of fun, but so to see how the town came together, was always together about the 51s, but then the 51 still was sort of like downtown, and for a lot of people in Summerlin or Anthem, it was a day trip for them. Because in Las Vegas, everything is a day trip if it's not near you. You know, it's like, that's okay, true. It's far. Well, it's so far. It was like, Anthem is far from me. I'm in Centennial Hills. So to have you guys move out, which is now really, I wouldn't call it the center of town, but because of the way the 51, because of the way our freeway and highway system is set up, it makes it accessible to everybody, no matter what side of town you live on. You don't have to go through surface streets. That's what I think hurt Henderson for a long time until the 215 was built out, because you had to get on Boulder Highway and then go all the way out there. Now you can get on 215 from any part of town and get to there. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But that system being put in place now gives access. You don't have the excuse. You can get to all of these facilities out there from wherever you live.
Yeah, a lot of our fan base is in Henderson. That's actually where I live, in Green Valley. But it's really not that much farther.
Right.
Going, because the 215, it's 20 miles.
Yeah.
From when I get on to when I get off. You get off at 215 in Sahara if you're coming from Green Valley, because you go off right. The second left is Pavilion Center. Take a left, and a half a mile down, the ballpark's right there, and downtown Summerlin's on the left, and you look diagonal, and there's a Red Rock Casino. So it's not that much farther going from there on the 95 into downtown. And obviously, it depends what time of day you're going.
Sure.
But after the games at night, it's going to be no problem once you get on that 215 going wherever you're going.
And
not everybody's going on the 215.
Sure.
A lot of people in that adjoining area, like you said, have those other surface streets.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
So let's talk about this, and let's talk about these breathable seats. Yes. I love this because this is really important. One of the things about Cashman was the way it faced east for most of the seating. So, you know, you had the sun setting behind you, and you had a little bit of protection from the sun. These breathable seats are very important because there's not that kind of protection, so you don't want people sitting on plastic that's been exposed or whatever, you know, to the elements. Breathable seats, I'm joking about it, but breathable seats are a really big deal.
Yeah, they're mesh.
Yes.
Atlanta Braves have those seats. The Four Tops premium seating, it's called. It's going to be 30 to 50 degrees cooler. They're theater type seats. On our website, that story's on the right side. You can open it and read about it, but the photo of the seats are there. It's going to be 8,000 theater seats.
Wow.
It's going to be no bleacher seats, no plastic seats.
Right.
Kitty corners in the ballpark will be picnic areas and stuff like that. So, and then up on the left field thing, you'd be able to stand and watch the game. It'd be like bar tops.
There's
and stuff.
so many
There's just
options.
a lot of different things, like what all the other AAA parks have now, which is great for the fans.
Right.
Everybody's going to have a great time. And even with the way the ballpark is structured, obviously it sets the same way because obviously you don't have it reversed where the sun's in the the
player's
batter's
eyes.
eyes.
Right,
You can't. So it's basically situated the same way as Cashman. You are going to have a little bit more shade because of the structure of the Las Vegas ballpark, but coupled with the premium seating, it's going to be really good.
Right. And the thing is, you have so many more options there because you have events. I mean, it's actually going to be like a mini convention center on top of being a baseball facility.
Yeah, the hope is Las Vegas ballpark, the LVCVA, with their sponsorship and marketing deal, we're shooting for 100 events in their year once the thing gets going.
Sure.
Because the PCL plays 70 dates, but if you have the breast cancer walk, a lot of the community events will be staged or presented now at the Las Vegas ballpark once it gets up and running. Don Logan, our president CEO, is hoping to have every high school baseball team play there at some point in time.
Wow.
Have a little college baseball, bring in 3 or 4 teams with UNLV and play a weekend there, and then we're hoping to have some concerts there. That would be really fun. So we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah.
Once it gets up and running and we get like a year under our belts, and then but like we said with the breast cancer walk or the city things that they're doing in Summerlin, it definitely can start there if there's a walk, or that's a perfect place to do it.
Yeah, and that they'll be open for all of these other venues to get people out there. I think that's one of the things that the Golden Knights have done very well, is get people out there to see that there are other uses for the facility, not just hockey. Now we'll have other uses for this facility, not just baseball, and there are all these options for outside entertainment that we might not have had before.
Yeah, I was thinking about the City National Arena with the 2 rinks. It's perfect for the youth hockey,
right?
And also, UNLV plays there, so that's a great thing for having the 2 rinks. Really helped that facility there. And with the Las Vegas ballpark basically going right next to it, it's really a nice little sports mecca. They're on good old Pavilion Center Drive now, as they call it.
Yeah.
So with the roundabouts.
Yes.
So it'll be cool.
So you can go shopping, you can do your sports, you can all hang out, and it's all there in one big, huge area. I just think that's so amazing. So give us an idea of 2 things. Tickets. One of the things I saw is that you can actually go and start a deposit on your tickets. Not like you have to come up with all of the money right away. How does that work?
It was great. We had our existing season ticket holders are being placed now.
Sure.
Or the past last couple of weeks. But we went on with our new season ticket deposits in July, and we had a great response. So right now our great sales folks are placing those folks. The best thing to do, it just basically open. It's the sales center in downtown Summerlin. It's right by the 702, the California Pizza Kitchen,
right
on Festival Drive. Our offices are kind of in the back. Our sales force is in there. Eventually, the rest of us will get out there. But the sales center is now open if you want to check it out. And there's touch screens to look at different features of Las Vegas ballpark. There's a huge seating chart in there, so they're beginning to seat.
So you can see where you're buying,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
And the season ticket numbers are doing this.
I'll bet.
But the best thing is, it sounds corny, but minor league baseball is affordable, family fun entertainment.
Yeah.
That's
go on
what
website. I was surprised when I saw
affordable.
the prices. I thought, really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously behind the dugout and behind the plate, the seats did increase.
Sure.
to me, that's something you have to do to do business. But the low end ticket, if I want to walk up to a game, is $18. You can't beat that with a stick.
Right.
The low end season tickets is roughly $600 for 70 games. I mean, you do the math. There's many plans. There's price points that everybody can. And as of right now, unless somebody changes their mind, the parking's free. There's going to be some parking adjacent to Las Vegas Ballpark. Now, down the road, that whole area is going to be done.
Sure. Years
down. Sure. So as they start doing it, some parking will go away. But to begin with, between that and, I go to T-Mobile and park at some other places and walk over. I mean, the Red Rock Casino's there too. Hopefully the visiting teams are going to stay there. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
That would be a great thing for them.
Sure.
Hopefully that'll help us because that's such a great place to stay. We should have a great home field advantage, but that'll to be determined.
Right.
But as you said, the whole area there's stuff that people will come before and after the game on nights and weekends.
So many options.
There's just a lot to do.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. And you can't be. Red Rock is right there.
Yes.
And you can go over the hump to Pahrump if you want to go, if you want to get out of town. And really, that is still really an option if you want to get out of town because there's not that many places that you can go anymore. But it's all really there and it's really well spaced. And I actually didn't go to an event just recently because I realized that I wasn't going to be able to park. And I was going to have to hike like 2 miles to get in. And it was a really great event, but I'm spoiled. I thought, I got to work that hard to get there? Maybe not. And so that's what I love about these facilities and that whole area, the way you guys are obviously talking to each other and collaborating on what these sites can accommodate, but you're thinking about accessibility, affordability, and making it something that you can bring your whole family to. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, AAA baseball has always kind of been a quote-unquote normal thing to do in Las Vegas. As we know, there's some fun things about the shows but it's still a place you can go to the ballpark, and you really can't beat that event. Just the ambiance of minor league baseball, like I said, and it's very affordable. Major league sports is very expensive, and that's just the nature of the beast with the PSLs, with the Raiders coming in 2 years.
Sure.
But that's why minor league baseball has drawn over 40 million fans as a industry over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's because it is affordable.
And it's outside, it's a fresh air. It's great.
And the crazy part is, we all know how hot it gets here during the summer. It is much cooler up there at times of the day. And, even 107 is 107, but with those seats and the way the shade's going to come out at that new ballpark, just the architecture of it's going to be much cooler up there to play. It really is. There's no question about it.
The eating options, the things that you can do inside, it's just amazing. We could go on and on and on, but you've got to go on the website. You've got to see it for yourself. I mean, you're talking about being able to eat there, dine there, go out, maybe watch the game, maybe go do some shopping, come back to the facility because it's all out there and it's very accessible. So it's not like you have to get in your car and travel really far. You've got shopping, you've got dining, you've got different sports venues that you can get to. You can go to the buffet and still go to the game, and then get some more hot dogs there because it's all right there. So amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Big shout out to the Howard Hughes Corporation. And you talk about real amazing community partners and the things that they've been doing. Also to the Fertittas who have come up with what they're doing out there and also out in Green Valley. So we've got these two big major companies that are local based. That's always been their thing, is we're about locals. Creating these facilities that, people, just regular folks can take their families to. It's neat.
Yeah, usually the hardest part to do is secure the land on these sites, which the Raiders found out in a roundabout way.
Sure.
But Howard Hughes Corporation, it really has been a great ownership for us. AAA baseball, it's closest thing to Major League Baseball, but the land, because their ownership, was donated for us.
Key.
And usually that's the hardest thing to get is the land. That's a lot of land out there that's still to be developed by the Howard Hughes Corp over the next X number of years. So. It's going to be exciting to see. There's other stuff getting built, like the firehouse is right there in Sahara and Pavilion Center. They've already built some luxury condos way left diagonal, probably Hualapai and Charleston and stuff. So there's just a lot of land there, and it's really a great area. And you have Sun City Anthem there too.
Right. Really quickly, about 30 seconds for you as a local kid too. Is this like one of the most exciting times ever?
Yeah, it's kind of set in since the season ended. You know, you have to be so focused on the season.
Right.
The season officially ended September 3rd, and with the topping off ceremony, it kind of became a reality that they're doing a great job. The construction workers are great.
Really quickly, first game.
First game is going to be April 9th, 2019, Las Vegas versus Sacramento, and they're assuring us as of this moment it'll be good to go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I think, you know how hard it's been to get me to come down to Cashman.
Yeah.
He's been asking me for years. I finally went a couple of times, but I'm for sure going to this. This is like amazing. Awesome. So thank you for being on. We're going to have you back on as we get closer to just really let people know that it's really happening here in Southern Nevada. Yep. Jim Gemma from the Las Vegas 51s. He is the man. Go on the website, go on their Facebook page and find out and just track. And as you said, the tickets, you can find out about. They're right there, their office in downtown Summerlin. So you can go in and you can actually see it for yourself, what's going to be the reality. And, you know, actually just let's talk a few months. Yes. It's not that long. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. We'll be back next week with some more really cool stuff you got to find out about here on WWDBTV.com.